Welcome back. It is the Hammer Down Show on 101.7 The Hammer, the 101.7 The Hammer app. We're over to our Hammerhead hotline. Coach Michael Fenters of the McCutcheon Mavericks is on with us here, taking on West Lafayette. It's our game of the week on Football Friday night, and it's going to be an absolute dandy. Always love it when two area teams can get together. Coach, great to have you back here. That is, not the result you want as you head down to Guerin. It just feels like there has been so many one-score games against Guerin to lead off the season over the past several years, and unfortunately, the Mavericks haven't been on the right side of those one-score games. I know you and the staff are doing a lot here in trying to install a whole lot of new things, culture and all that. So kind of give me the recap here. How did you feel about your boys' performance in week one?
Yeah, I mean, first off, thanks for having me. Thanks to my family. Thanks to the listeners. I think one thing that we try to teach the boys right off the bat is that, unfortunate as it may be, sports are a meritocracy, right? And I tell them all the time, I wish I could say there were moral victories. I wish I could say that it's good enough just to improve. That was the closest margin we've had with Guerin Catholic since 2021. We had the ball with 2 minutes left on their 2-yard line and attempt to score, right? So there's a lot of things that go right in a game like that in order to compete. But the fact of the matter is, you can't really pat yourself on the back when you're looking at, almost 100 yards in penalties, negating your almost 5 yards of carry on the ground. And when you have really good play out of your quarterback, and it's really efficient and all those things, but then at the same time, we also have some personal foul issues that kind of take a step back from all those things, right? So when you're trying to establish what a new standard is and you're resetting it, unfortunate as it may be, we really felt like as staff we had a great game plan. If you look at it and you hide the kind of column with the penalties and some of the dead ball issues and things like that, you walk away and say that team's supposed to win 10 times out of 10. And unfortunate as it may be, in that road to resetting a standard, there's a lot of life lessons along the way. And for our guys this week, the life lesson is that winning is hard. And it takes something to learn how to win and how to put away a game. That was the longest drive offensively that McCutcheon has had, more so than last year, right? We held the ball for 7 minutes and 2 seconds on the offensive side. And that was almost a minute and a half longer than had happened previously.
Wow.
Right? So when you look at things like that, you go, hey, that's really successful. But then you also have to recognize it from the kid point of view and say, well, shoot, they haven't had to be out there on offense for more than 5 minutes at a time. They have no idea what that looks like to sustain a drive and to grind it out and to have a defense kind of bend to what you want them to do. And so, there's a lot of things that we just need to clean up as far as, how we prepare for a game throughout the week. There are some life lessons that I hope became apparent this week that we're going to continue to instill. And then, as far as us, we've got a really good opponent across the sideline this Friday. Another opponent that's going to have a super disciplined team. They're not necessarily they don't have the deepest roster necessarily. They play a lot of two-way guys. But like I told your listeners last week, so do we. So we might as well just giddy up and get after it.
Yeah, and one thing that we noticed, because we watched that game last week against Harrison, Coach, was the speed that they have, especially in the back end there too. But the wide receivers, you get those guys on the outside, and it was big play after big play last week that you just can't give up. And certainly West Lafayette has done that for quite some time. But they can also burn you on the ground with a guy like Kojo Steffi. It's just they're very multiple in what they like to do, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I mean, I've had the pleasure of being across from Coach Fry and that West Side offense for a while now. Back at Mac when we had him, we knew that it was kind of a monster to deal with. Okay, as soon as you shut down the box, they're going to hit the outside screen game. If you shut down the outside screen game, you better be able to handle even numbers in the box, which is a tough thing to deal with, right? I think offensively, we have a very similar ideology to what Harrison does. And so, I find that to be intriguing. I think Harrison's got some great team speed that they were able to exploit with Westside. I think ultimately for us, it's going to be a lot of controlling the ball again. I'm not sure that we're a team that's going to get in a track meet with anybody. So for us to be the most successful, we do what we did Friday. We sit on the ball, we capitalize on possessions, and we play just smart football when it comes to, limiting our penalties, limiting those self mistakes. And then when we need to take shots, we take them. And I think that's where, we have somewhat of an advantage over Westside, simply because we do have some great athletes. We have some great athletes we can get in space. And, I think Westside's going to have their hands full on that end. On the defensive end, yes, Westside is a pain to deal with, but our defense also showed up in the second half of Guerin Catholic and was right back to form, right? So if we start the game like we did that second half against Guerin, I have no doubt that this game isn't going to turn into a 40-point track meet like their last game did.
Coach, give me a player or two, maybe one on each side of the ball that you really liked what you saw out of them last week, and you're expecting them to take even bigger steps forward again this week against West Lafayette.
Yeah, Jackson Lancaster on the offensive side. There's really no question. He was a guy we were looking at coming into this year, stud baseball player for us. And, the old saying with McCutcheon is that, we're a baseball school around here, and we got a lot of kids that, decide to focus on baseball because of those things. And Jackson decided, in spite of those things, in spite of having offers, in spite of doing all that, to come play football still. And man, what a difference he makes. I mean, you just can't teach 6'5". And that was something that we knew. He had great size. We knew he had the ability to run. We knew he had the ability to catch. But I tell you what, I've never been even slightly kind of happy when a kid committed a false start. But he commits a false start, and he comes back over and he says, "Coach, I'm sorry. I was just so excited to block somebody." And I tell you what, if that's the kind of energy you're getting out of a kid, that in spite of everything telling him, maybe you should just look the other way with football or anything like that, that's a guy, when you're rebuilding the program, that's a guy you build it around. And you lift people like that up, and you say, you know what? Like, he's just going to go get it. Refused to take himself out. Our starting quarterback, Carson Smith, went ahead and called his number at the end of the day, Jackson's, that is, because he knew Jackson was a good runner. He knew he'd been physical all night long, and said, let him go put this game away. And while he didn't, I still can't be more proud of him on the offensive side. Just really phenomenal job. On the defensive side, there's a lot of guys I think we could shout out. Antoine Gross did a great job at playing both sides of the ball, and then in the fourth quarter really showed up on the defensive end. I think ultimately we got to give it to our linebackers, both Caden Sharp and Landon Dunwoody, but Landon Dunwoody kind of especially. Really, if you're going to stop Guerin and do what we did in the second half, your linebacker is going to be put on island because they spread you out so much. They say, okay, your linebacker is going to have to take on a lead blocker. They're going to have to take on the running back himself. In several cases, Landon went ahead, took on both counter pullers, and still made the tackle. And that's something that, especially when you look at resetting the standard of a program, you look at that unrelenting effort. You especially look at it from a younger player, right? In the case of Lancaster, he's a senior. I'm going to love him while I have him. But unfortunately, at the end of the year, I got to say bye to him, right? Dunwoody being an underclassman, we look at him and we go, hey, you know what? It is possible to build something successful here through guys like him with unrelenting effort.
Coach Michael Fenters, McCutcheon Mavericks, set to take on the West Lafayette Red Devils. And that'll be our featured game of the week on Football Friday night on K105. Coach, hey, best of luck this week. We appreciate the time as always, and really excited to see the Mavericks on Friday night.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you to the listeners. Thank you to my family for watching and listening, and go Mavs.